They optimized my bottlenecks, removed redundant pointer checks. The database's sub-selects are indexed to a T. They shaved the microseconds down till there was nothing left to count. I instantaneously found the answer in a breeze. But I've been feeling so alone. Nobody here is calling from a function or a phone. If I'm dead, code, let me die. 'Cause I'm only...
Welcome to a very special Monday morning show for a Monday afternoon-ish. Let's call it early evening. I'm Ken LaSalle. That was Josh Woodward singing. You can find him at joshwoodward.com. You can find me at kenlasalle.com. Some of you may be wondering, hey Ken, what's the deal? This doesn't feel very morning-ish to me. And you'd be right. In fact, I can't believe where my day went. The sad fact is that last Thursday, as I sat here happily playing World of Warcraft, my computer screen had what I can only assume was its death throes. Turns out, it was the graphics card. And after ordering another card, I am finally up and running and returning to a bit of sanity. Anyone who lives on their computer the way I do probably knows what I'm talking about. My whole life is on this machine. And before you say a word, yes, I know, that's really healthy. This also meant that I didn't have a PC on which to type today's episode. So I tapped it out just as fast as I could, and I'm hoping it's not dark when I release this episode of my, morning show. I didn't have anything prepared, so I thought I would leave you with just a few random thoughts. Drug commercials. Have you ever stopped to count just how many drug commercials appear during the course of your favorite TV show? For a country so dead set against illegal drugs, we just love the hell out of our legal ones, don't we? I hadn't really noticed it until the other night when I started counting, and I lost count. And it occurred to me that back in the 70s, when I was a kid, I would always see cereal commercials and snack commercials and candy bar commercials. You remember candy bar commercials, don't you? We used to be inundated with marketing pitches for sugar. Maybe we still are. Maybe I'm watching the wrong shows. But now it appears that it's drugs. Lots and lots of drugs. And if that doesn't make you a bit concerned, maybe it should. And I know there's an argument to be made that, hey, at least there aren't as many candy commercials, right? But that's clearly the wrong argument. All that does is divert your attention from all the drug commercials. We have a lot of people making arguments solely based on their ability to divert your attention. Let's look at a few. Abortion. Those who are against a woman's right to decide what she does with her own body will often tell you that they are against abortion because they are pro-life. You've heard this, right? The only problem is that in the United States, most pro-life folk are also fervently in favor of the death penalty. They support war and the weapons of war. They don't want to give their hard-earned money to support the unwanted children born when a woman is not allowed her basic human rights. And what's more basic than deciding what happens to your own body? They don't support free access to birth control, and yet they insist it's about the children. But it's not. You know it's not. If people really cared about children, they would really protect children. So you wouldn't see threats to children, like guns, for instance. You wouldn't see hungry children out there. You wouldn't see children deprived of an education, of a house, of a bed to sleep in. Yet you do. Which is how you can tell that anti-abortion folk only bring up protecting the children to divert your attention. What are they trying to divert your attention away from? We'll get to that in a minute. Guns. People who love guns have a few arguments they make to support their fetish. For instance, they'll tell you they have the right to own guns provided by the Second Amendment. But they won't tell you that the Second Amendment says nothing about giving people the right to own guns. The Second Amendment refers to a well-regulated militia. It's talking about a militia, which is what our country had before it had a standing army. The Second Amendment is so out of date, it might as well refer to owning muskets. In fact, I wish it did. Gun nuts will also tell you that they need their guns to hunt. You know who needs their guns to hunt? About 50 guys living far enough away from civilization that they can't get to a store. About 50 guys. Not millions upon millions of unregulated psychopaths who would have sex with their gun if they could manage it. And don't think they don't try. These sickos will also tell you that, I'm a little biased. These sickos will also tell you that they need their guns to protect themselves against the government. They are absolutely certain that the government is going to come take away their guns, which will require them to use their guns against the government. This doesn't sound like something we should support to me. We really shouldn't be supporting people who want to use their guns to take down the government, you know? And how about this? If you distrust the government so much, you should get involved in the government to make sure it's trustworthy. How's that for an idea? Instead of hoarding weapons of violence, you mental defectives. None of their arguments hold water, and it's easy to see those arguments are made to divert your attention. What are they trying to divert your attention away from? We'll get to that in a minute. Illegal immigration. The idea of illegal immigration is so outdated, I hate even using the term. Once upon a time, there was a small enough number of people on the planet that you could actually say, you go over there, that's your land. Now, with nearly 8 billion people on this planet, we are often, literally, stacked on top of each other. Political boundaries are so out of date, they're just about the only boundaries we have left. We have global trade and a global marketplace with a global trade of information, and yet, still, we have these imaginary lines we think mean something. So what are the arguments people use against so-called illegal immigration? For one, they say terrorists can get across our borders if they're not protected. And that's right, they could. So could a lot of things. But you know what? They don't. All of the 9/11 terrorists were here legally. Listen, folks, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I am saying you can spend your life in fear, or you can grow up. Claiming that you're against so-called illegal immigration because a terrorist could possibly cross the border is like saying you support wearing tinfoil hats to keep the government broadcasts out. It's just plain stupid. Another argument against so-called illegal immigration is that it takes resources away from people who are here legally. And that's correct. That's absolutely correct. Really. It is. But you know what else that is? That's selfish. That's greedy. All of these arguments are based on selfishness, greed, and good old American assholery. Yes, you can spend your life being a total dick. But you know what? You don't have to. No kidding. Being anti-abortion doesn't stop abortions. If you want to stop abortions from happening, try supporting women. Every woman should have, must have, the right to make her own decisions. If you want to end abortions, then give women choices. Allow them to take whatever road they choose. It's up to them, not you. Owning a gun doesn't make you tough. Not owning a gun makes you tough. Learn not to be so afraid Stop relying on the cold steel of a phallic symbol to let you sleep at night. You don't need to hunt. You don't need the Second Amendment to make you safe. And do you really think a gun will protect you if the government really is out to get you? Really? Come on. And you know what illegal immigrants are? They're human beings. Like you. Try wearing a little compassion next time instead of your Law and Order t-shirt. You don't have to be a dick. You really don't. Fortunately, I think most listeners to this podcast, both of you, already know all of this. But I don't know how many of you stand up when someone starts talking about how women can't be trusted to make decisions about their own bodies, about how guns are so cool, and you really should own one, or about how those damned illegals are stealing all our jobs. I'll let you in on a secret. I don't do a very good job standing up against those dicks. I wish I did. And I am going to try harder from now on to do better. I think we all should. If you think of all the problems the human family is facing in the coming decades, global warming, peak oil, and on, things like abortion, guns, and immigration should be resolved by now. If we're ever going to face our real problems, we need to resolve these other issues. And stop voting for people who tell us abortion is baby killing, and that we need to protect the rights of gun owners while spitting on our fellow human beings because they crossed an imaginary line. Because those people are assholes. Normally at this point in the show, I would give you some cool thing for the week that is somehow related to all of this. But as I said, my computer died. All I could really tell was that my monitor was not the problem, because I tried a couple of monitors and the problem was still there. I couldn't really diagnose the issue of the video card without having a video card to test, and to be honest, I stopped working on my own PC a while ago. So, I tried a place called PC Avenue in Anaheim, California. I don't usually promote local businesses, but hey, these people treated me so well, I have to recommend them. They were friendly and respectful. They delivered exactly what they promised, and they gave me options I could work with. They did a great job. And in a time when businesses are quick to take your money and quick to give you the shaft, that's kind of rare. I don't know how many listeners live in Southern California, but I think you should both check out PC Avenue at PCAve.com. You'll be glad you did. This episode is brought to you by my new audiobook, The Most Amazing Book You've Ever Heard in Your Entire Life. That's right, heard. This book is only available in audio, and you can find it on Audible.com and iTunes. Take a journey unlike any you've taken before with illiterature books. When has a book ever showed you the view from the top of Mount Everest, or accompanied you to the moon, or picked up lunch? But you'll find all of that and much more in the first title by Illiterature Books, The Most Amazing Book You've Ever Heard in Your Entire Life. Take a trip across our known world and beyond. You'll not only experience the highest point on Mount Everest, nearly, the depths of a live volcano, and even the surface of the moon, you'll also learn a few secrets along the way. You'll discover why ownership isn't as possible as you've been told, why straight lines never are, and why there aren't as many new masterworks from the Renaissance as there probably should be. Discover the pitfalls of aesthetic judgments, while somehow also learning the meaning of truth and beauty. And learn how it's not always the lies we're told that cause us problems. Sometimes it's the truth you don't see right in front of you. And that's the Monday Morning Show for Monday afternoon, March 30th, 2000.